All right. Hey, y'all. Happy Wednesday. We are back for another. Okay, there we go. We are back for another episode for the Our Birth Stories series. And I'm so excited. I told y'all we had a whole lineup because um it's important that we get these stories out, not, only for um, our own personal legacies or our own personal journeys, our own personal healing, but so that, we kind of build this community around what it looks like to normalize talking about motherhood, pregnancy, childbirth, all of these things that oftentimes we don't talk about, or historically or traditionally we have not talked about. So we are back with another episode, and I'm excited about it. Before I do anything, I want to remind y'all to click the link in the bio, in my bio. There is a link for Black moms to, excuse me, to take the Take 10 campaign that I helped found or helped start. There's a link there for you to register for our preeclampsia registry. So we are gathering information from more Black moms so that more research can be done around Black maternal health, around preeclampsia episodes and things of that nature. So if you can just take a few moments, it's only 10 minutes. It don't take a long time. So that's why it's called Take 10 campaign. So you can take 10 minutes out to fill out the survey so that we can just gather more information for research purposes. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and introduce our guest for today. I'm familiar with her in more of a business capacity. Like, she is an amazing mentor and just an amazing strategist. And when I say, like, and I've known her even before then, we don't go back to, when I would always or often see her when I would go to a lot of community meetings or city hall meetings and things of that nature. But then in a business capacity, she has been such an asset to Juice Defined, especially when we first opened, just helping strategize and really helping me get things off the ground. So I'm excited to have her here in another capacity to talk about her childbirth or her pregnancy experience. Again, just so that we kind of connect on these different levels, right? You never know how you can connect with a person and how many different levels you can connect with a person on. So I'm excited to bring her up. I'm going to add her to the stage because I want her to introduce herself, but I also want her to tell more about her business as a business consultant and a business coach so that you all can also have an understanding of what business coaches do and how consultants work, and and maybe possibly reach out to her if you have a need for a business consultant or a business coach. So I'm going to add her on the stage. Hey, Naya.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad that you're here. I want to just give you a minute to introduce yourself to everybody and just tell them what you do, and talk about just the importance of what you do and your job title.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, as a business growth strategist, I help businesses grow for the future so they can be sustainable and scalable for the future. As a visionary, I help facilitate the process that all that's in you, your vision for your business, for your family, for your future comes to pass. So I do that on a lot of levels in regards to business audits. We do a lot of development in regards to revenue streams, being properly structured, getting you ready for whatever your next steps are in your business, for business growth, if it's funding, if it's HR development, whatever it is that we can help you get to your next level and that it's sustainable. So we know that you start where you start is not where you start. And we believe that better businesses will build better communities.
Yes, absolutely. And you do a great job at it. You are so good at what you do. I still had the pictures from when we were doing a whole strategy on the shop wall. And we had everything wrote out. Like it was so if y'all see in my Juice Defined bio, the 4 H's, honest, holistic, healthy hub. We came up with that back, back then, and it has stuck because it truly is just a brief understanding of what we are, who we are. And so we carry like the 4 H's with us everywhere. So I appreciate you. And I appreciate you wanting to come on and share your story. I don't think I've ever heard your story before. So this is gonna be real exciting, even for me, to hear for the first time. And just really just give you an opportunity to just talk about your experience and what you went through. I do have some questions, and before you get into your story, the first thing I want to kind of find out, and I ask everybody this because it's truly important to understand how as a community oftentimes we have missed the mark when it comes to us being open and transparent about things that has happened in our lives. So I wanted to know from you, like, what was it like growing up for you? Like, did you have anybody talking to you about childbirth and pregnancy? Like, was that a normal type of conversation? Like, what did you get in your household?
I would say the conversation was normal, but I don't want to say it was a negative conversation because my mother had such a troublesome, she had preeclampsia at that time, in our day was called
Mm.
toxemia. So
Mhm.
my mother had such a bedridden experience that I heard more of the cons of pregnancy, the negatives of pregnancy in regards to how it
Mm.
affects the mother tremendously. And so I believe I was prepared for the worst because the worst came from my mother. You get what I'm saying? Her pregnancy
Mhm.
was so tough for her that I knew, not to say that I would have the same experience, but I
Right.
knew that it takes a toll on the body. And so I
Mhm.
think that kind of gave me probably a negative connotation to pregnancy because I know that, about genetically weren't technically breeders. You know what I mean? So pregnancies weren't easy. And so
Right.
that was kind of the conversation to be prepared for the worst, I think, would be more of
Got
a
you.
mhm.
And you a twin, right?
Absolutely. So I was
Okay.
born prematurely at four
Mm.
pounds 4 ounces. My sister was born at 4 pounds 11 ounces. So I think my having such a tumultuous pregnancy for my mom and childbirth for myself, it kind of shifted me to kind of like, Lord, please, I want this to be a better experience. Even
Mhm.
though I didn't have preeclampsia, I did have a very up and down pregnancy.
Got it. Got it. Um, even are you and your sister, are y'all the only kids, or your mom had more kids?
So, and that's very interesting. My mother was absolutely like barren, like a fallopian tube closed and a fallopian
Mm.
tube damaged. She wasn't supposed to have any children. Married 10
Wow.
years, about to adopt, and she came up with flu-like symptoms, pregnant with us. And so it was a hard, not just pregnancy, but getting pregnant was
Mhm.
problematic as well. So that's why I had like a worrisome type thought process about pregnancy
Yeah.
because of how I came to pass. And my mother couldn't have any more children afterwards.
Wow. Oh
She
my
didn't have any.
God.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, so okay, so I get that from your or your mom's experience, you kind of already formed like
Mhm.
this mindset that pregnancy is like a difficult experience. It doesn't have to be, but you understood it to be from your mom's experience.
Right.
Um, so I guess that kind of taps into the next question, because my next question is like, what were your expectations for when you got pregnant or for your childbirth experience? Like, did other than that, did you have any other expectations or like any hopes for that for your pregnancy?
I was hoping that I would be able to be functional. I thought I would
Mm.
still be able to maintain my 50 plus hour work week. I was doing management at the time, and I had a minimum of 50-hour week. Normally my schedule was varied. So I really didn't realize that I wouldn't be able to work. So it was surprising to me how soon I had to go out on disability, really like at 3.5, 4 months. I could not, my body couldn't take it. I had to wear a brace. My pelvic area was
Wow.
stretched. I am a petite woman. I'm short. And so I don't know if it was just my frame. So that was my first kind of like uh, shock. Like I thought I would be able to work. So
Mm,
I think that really took a toll on me where I was not ready emotionally that it was going to take that much from me just to be pregnant because a lot
mm,
of my identity was based in career. I waited till I was 29 to have a child, married 4 years. And I'm like, I can't even work. People like exercising and marathons. And that was a huge slap in the face for me that kind of
yeah,
affected me emotionally, psychologically.
yeah. Wow. Um, so walk us through well, first of all, prior to pregnancy, did you plan to get pregnant? Was there like a conversation with you and your husband about having kids? Like, was there a birthing plan in place?
I would say this: the plan actually was an adoption plan first. We'd already started the process of adopting because my husband at the time wanted to do both. It didn't matter to him what came first, an adopted child or a biological child. So I found out after we went through a year process for adopting. When we were maybe at the last 2 weeks, I found out that when we were cleared through all the process, that I was 6 weeks pregnant. So
Mm,
we were planning to have a child, just not necessarily biologically at the time. So that was kind of like a surprise for me that we wanted, we started the plan for adopting first, then
mhm.
necessarily, whenever it happened biologically. So
Yeah.
it was a kind of a surprise for me.
Okay. Okay. So walk us through how the pregnancy went. So I know you said you went on bed rest like right around
Mhm.
3.5 months. What was the process or the journey like after that? So after bed rest, how long were you on bed rest?
Well, I would say I couldn't, it went through a process of, I really could not hold anything down. So I went through morning sickness for at least 5.5 months of morning sickness. And so
Mhm.
I went out on leave. I finally had to go out on leave. I want to say about my fourth month, I really was in a state of like, it affected me psychologically, where like, why can't I like, I couldn't do simple tasks where it
Mhm.
really made me feel, I don't want to say incompetent, but why is this so tough for me? So I went into preterm labor 3 times. So I fell down the stairs once. When I say I've had things ups and downs in pregnancy, I went into preterm labor at 22 weeks. I went into preterm labor at 28 weeks. It got to the point that I would have so many contractions, I would just grab my blanket and head to
Mm.
the emergency room because I guess my body really, really absorbed most of my fluids. So regardless of how much water, how much Gatorade, how much I drank, I was already always dehydrated.
Mm.
So what happens is when you're dehydrated, your uterus or your cervix is going to contract more because it's not as moist as it should be, if that makes
Mhm.
sense scientifically.
Mhm.
And so at my 28th week, it was actually Christmas Eve. I had to be admitted because I went to preterm labor, and that's when they give you those shots in kind of your butt, 3 shots.
Mhm.
So if you do have the baby's lungs will expand. So they give you
Mhm.
like every 6 hours, you get these shots. So if it does not work out that you can't hold her, that my daughter would have survived. So
Right.
that it was very difficult for me. It just seemed like me holding her was the problem. I didn't have to be sewn up or anything of that nature, but I just wouldn't stop contracting. Wouldn't stop,
Wow.
wouldn't stop contracting. I was on bed rest for 4 months until um, really up until like the end. Baby
Wow.
would be walking up and down stairs. I lived in a 2-story home. I was literally in my bedroom. My niece would have to come and be with me to go get me water and food. And
Wow.
so it was very touch and go because my daughter was moving, like literally spinning, kicking. Like I knew my child was going to be a gymnast. I knew she was going to be an athlete. I knew she was going to be a dancer. I knew she was going to be a black belt, which she already is. Okay. Everything was done before she even took
Wow.
breath. So the whole process of the pregnancy was tougher than labor for me, the
Mm.
carrying process. But I think because I had a job that I was able to go out on disability, then I went from short term to long term. So I was able to at least maintain my medical coverage, things of that nature. But it was a very difficult time because it was nothing I can control. You think you drink enough water, you think you eat enough fruit, and it can just come at any time. And so I'm just thankful at 28 weeks, that was the last time that I went into preterm labor. So I made it to week 30. What was so interesting, I made it to like week 36. They told me that she was kind of in a little too long.
Oh, wow.
Now she was kind of great.
Okay.
It was
Well,
interesting.
36 weeks, that's almost full term, right?
Yeah, it was like 36,
Mhm.
38 weeks, and it was just very interesting. So when we think about day of for when I for delivery, for labor and delivery, I felt it that morning. I'm like, oh, we're going to get something to eat. Like, no, we're gonna be in the hospital. So I just kind of buried it, got
Mhm.
food, went to, got breakfast and headed to the hospital. And so it was just a matter of time. So we don't even want to talk about the epidural.
Oh,
Gee.
Lord. Oh, my gosh. Okay, wait. Don't speed through. So, wait a minute. All right, so you get to 36 weeks,
Mhm.
right? Is when you start actually going into labor, right? Now, did you have a birthing plan in place? Like, did you have any specifics about the way that you wanted to give birth? Was there like anything, like any conversation between you and your provider about like what you wanted to do ideally?
Um, I don't think I was very specific. I knew I wanted to have painkillers. I knew I wanted epidural. I knew I was not that natural, strong woman. I wasn't. I knew that. Okay, because I wanted to have my best character. Okay, you don't have the best character when you're in pain. I'm just keeping it.
That's true. You right
So
about.
I would say I didn't have anything specific. I just knew I wanted. I just knew I wanted to have certain family members there present with me. And actually, my doctor, who I was with the whole time, didn't even deliver my daughter. They were on vacation.
Oh,
So
it's
it
the
wouldn't
second
even
time I
matter.
heard that. Somebody else said that in
It's
one of the
true.
other.
Yeah, because they have a rotation, within a
Oh,
team.
wow.
Correct. So it wouldn't even matter. But it was really I just wanted to be as painless as possible, to be fair, which it wasn't. It still wasn't.
Yeah.
Very painful with the epidural.
So you decided on getting the epidural. So okay, now we can kind of shift into um like how was that? Like you chose to get the epidural, so did it work? That's my
So that is
question.
you just ran me right into it. So I will say, no, ma'am. The first
Oh,
one didn't work. So you know how they kind of test it. They say, "Do you feel this?" They're touching like your toes, different areas of your
hmm.
body, and I'm like, "Yes and yes, yes and yes." I feel all of that. Like, and so she was like, "Oh, it must then take." So it looks like she was like packing up to go to the next room. I'm sure other moms to be, and I'm like, "Where are you going? You gonna do this? You get it right."
Yeah.
I don't care what. No. She was like,
Do
well,
not
most
leave the
women,
job undone.
no, 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 no. I'm here to help. Do it again. So that, that kind of helped the process, even though that was a painful process. It's not fun. It's not, but I would prefer to endure that than to try to do it on my own. I know I wasn't ready. No, I wasn't. Not for
Mm.
the full natural, but I give all props, all credit to women who do, and it's all beautiful with the home births and the bath births. I would have loved that, but I wasn't built like that. No, my late the pregnancy was so tumultuous. I was just ready to be done. Like
Yeah, I
it
can
just felt
understand that.
like I was pregnant for 2 years.
Yeah,
It felt so heavy and burdensome just to carry her. I'm like, we just need to get it out at this point. Like
yeah,
I don't need any gold medals. I just want healthy and happy baby
absolutely.
for sure.
Absolutely. So, okay, did you have a vaginal birth or a C-section?
Vaginal.
Okay.
Vaginal birth with, what do they call them? Episiotomy.
Oh, yes.
Uh
Mm-hmm.
huh. So that's not funny
Oh.
either. So it's interesting because during my delivery process, my cervix didn't dilate quick enough, but my baby was coming down. So it felt like the doctor said you cannot push, you have to hold it. So just think you got a bowling ball between your legs that you're trying to hold. So I had the opposite effect of most moms where they were like pushing. No, I couldn't push. So for about 4 hours, I had to like cross my legs and concentrate. And that was probably, I didn't anticipate that type pressure. To feel like you got to use the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to get detailed, but with the episiotomy, once I got to that stage of pushing, they said, well, you're too small, your baby, and then they had to cut that pretty area down there. So they say you rather it be cut than it to rip. You know,
Yeah.
that's what the so and to me, that healing process, Lord help us. That's all I can say.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
One and done. One and done. No, ma'am.
One and done.
No,
And how old is your baby now?
18, just turned 18 in March.
Ooh, you about to be an empty nester too. What you gonna do?
Listen, we go work it out.
But that's, you know, I'll say that too. It's a wrap over here. So I understand.
Sure. I just think because I had such a, I don't want to call it negative, but it wasn't positive stories about pregnancy growing up from my mom, from anyone I knew this was going to be a task, like a chore. You know what I mean? So that's what I prepared myself for.
So even just hearing, I kind of want to ask too, and I know like with your sister, like that's her own story to tell, but does she have kids?
Yes.
Okay, so did she have like similar experiences as yours or your mom's? Like what was it like?
Well,
Just
I would
general.
say for my, and that's exactly why I didn't have children until 29, because she already had two, so it was perfect. I was auntie for quite a while. So I would say my sister's pregnancy wasn't as she was also younger, to be fair, when she had her children. We have to calculate that. But she didn't have my experience at all, you know, at all. But she had a different experience. So I just think that mine was a lot rougher, was probably closer to my mom's than anyone. And maybe that's why she has two and I have one. But I just think that everybody's experience is different regardless of what the genetic background is. Because it also depends on your body, how it carries, how you process water, you know, just simple things. So I'm kind of glad my sister got pregnant first, because I was able to, I knew I was under no, I saw her have her children. I saw my cousin have her daughter, like all these, I was like, okay, I'm in no rush. No. That don't look like fun. That don't look like fun. So I
take your time.
You know, I was really trying to, because I think motherhood needs to be seriously considered more. It really does, because, and it wasn't a matter of that I didn't think I could be a good mother or didn't think I could handle motherhood. I didn't want to handle motherhood at that age. I didn't want to be a 21-year-old mom, even a 25-year-old mom. I didn't, because I was more career oriented. You know, it would have hindered where I was, my trajectory in regards to career goals or business goals. So sometimes it's good to consider, you know, do I really, because it's a sacrifice. I don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Daily sacrifice that I do not regret one bit. As difficult as it was well worth it. Well worth it.
Absolutely. And that speaks to planning, right? Because I think I asked earlier about planning. And I mean, you basically did plan, you know what I mean? Because there was like this idea that I want this type of life and I want to be able to do X, Y, and Z prior to accepting that role and that responsibility.
Right.
And you're right, it's not talked about enough, because oftentimes, I've heard it countless times, but even speaking to some of the moms on the series, it's kind of like, well, I wasn't, not my first one, at least I was not planning. Like, it wasn't, married or not, like I wasn't planning it. It kind of just happened, right? And so that's a different perspective that you gave when you say like, no, I had, you know, I wanted this and this and this lined up prior to me committing to that role, because it is a big role and it is a lot of sacrifice, and we don't really give full consideration to that, especially if you're not married or you don't really have a partner. Like, it's
Right.
kind of we don't
And
talk about it a lot.
I think from my perspective, I had a partner. I was married at the time, but I made it. We were on the same page. We were married 4 years. I wasn't going to have a regards of how many family members or society like, oh, y'all married when y'all having a baby. You taking care of a baby?
You know,
You got someone on daycare?
right,
So
when
I
we
just think,
ready.
and I think even as couples, be it partners or marriages, whatever. I just think that it needs to be aligned on what you need to be honest.
Yeah.
Be really like, I did not want to adopt children, but my husband at the time did. That took a year of conversations to say, okay, that makes sense, because he used it as his backing was he used it as a tool for evangelism, a tool for witnessing, creating disciples. The Christians should bring along the widows and the orphans. So
Yeah.
I understood that, but that wasn't my life goal. Do you understand what I'm saying? We had to get on the same page. Now, granted, it ended up not working out that way, but I was willing to do it because I was open. And because he was honest, he could have said, you know what, doesn't matter. And he could have been fuming underneath, because that's what he wanted. And I think we don't really consider not just, if we're going to be good moms or dads, but when are we going to be good moms and dads?
Yeah.
I think that's what, and a part of that is us being healthy.
Yes.
We don't consider either, like, how healthy are you to really carry another soul? Do you have enough nutrients in your body to produce another one?
Yeah.
I don't think we do it. A lot of times it's just,
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Like, that is, and that's what I mean. Like, even when I say planning, like, not only your first one, but just also considering like your health, considering your mental state, considering your finances coming. Like, it's the holistic approach. It should be. It should be a holistic approach, and it should be a decision made with tons of awareness, because that's again, that honesty component. Like, sometimes we don't be honest with ourselves, and it's just like, okay, I just want to go off of the feeling that I want this for whatever reason, you know what I mean? And it's not necessarily rooted in truth, or it's not rooted in honesty. So I think that is a major conversation, even when, just in our community, just I'm saying in general, planning families is just
it's helpful. And I think sometimes it's a healthy conversation, because we don't know how dysfunctional just our culture is. Because even if you're with somebody for, I don't know, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever time frame they think is sufficient for you to reproduce, they bombarding you with, why y'all ain't had no baby yet? Why, I've been married 3 years. People ask, what do I look like having a baby yet? I'm worried about retirement and being ready for assessment. You get what I'm saying? But pressure from culture, from families, from all these different things makes us look at motherhood different. Like, I'm more than a mom, I'm a woman. I bring more to the world than just what I can carry and birth. And I think sometimes we struggle with separating motherhood and womanhood. The woman in me said, I'm not going to be a mother till later. Because I need to grow as a woman more to be a better mother. And I think we don't really capture the womanhood at, like, what do I need first before I have to sacrifice myself for someone else.
That was powerful. That is powerful. So I'm like, let's normalize that. Let's normalize the conversation around planning families versus just going with the flow and just doing what society, not even traditionally, just like modernly have been kind of doing, you know what I mean? And so, and I'm thinking back to how little things like, I found out when I was pregnant that I had sickle cell trait.
Wow.
Now, if my daughter's dad, he didn't have it, thank God. But like, if he would have had it, but it was never a conversation. It was never a conversation. Now, I just didn't know to have that type of conversation. But thinking back, it's like, if somebody asked me, like, what would you do differently? It's just kind of like, I would have more conversations, because we truly just don't know what we don't know. But when we ask questions, and when we make an attempt to plan things out, and granted, things don't always go as planned,
Right.
but it still helps to help you be a little bit more prepared for whatever is to come. You know what I mean? So just even from a medical standpoint, and just, like I said, all of the things like planning should be normalized when we're talking about families and having kids. So my question to you is, if you knew then what you know now, would you change anything about your experience, pregnancy, childbirth? Like, would you change anything about it? Would you do anything differently?
I would say, I think I did. I don't think I would change anything because I was able to adjust to however the difficulty was. Because I had, I didn't even get into the, I had issues with depression. I had issues. I had to get a psychiatrist, therapist. They wanted to get me because it took such a toll on me physically, it affected me psychologically. And so I had to battle um, my mind and my body at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So both of them weren't well. So the only thing, I don't regret anything. I'm thankful I responded to what I thought was something was wrong. Like I knew I had to get to a therapist. I knew I had to, like, something ain't right. So I don't regret. I don't think I regret anything because I had the support. And one thing that I also did, I was a reader. Like me, I had books upon books because I think what most moms take for granted in the healthcare system is they think doctors are going to ask some engaging questions. They're just going to ask the questions that are for their screenings and not necessarily what's affecting you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't ask those specific detail-oriented questions about your own experience, they go gloss over that and get to the next room because they just go check off their box and get to the next person. So regrets, no, because I know the doctors thought I was crazy because I was coming in with medical terms. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So then you really have healthy conversations. Now, no, talk your book talk. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Just read it, got books right here. So I was glad that I was able to respond because I am always learning. Everything is a learning journey for me. And so I just took that as an opportunity to learn about my body. Like I had no clue, and I took health, honor roll student, a whole 9 yards, but you don't really know until you're within it, so no regrets, it's just a matter of adjusting.
Yeah, I got you. Um, if you had to give a Black mama one piece of advice who is embarking on a pregnancy journey, like what piece of advice would you give her?
I would say two things. Carry your water everywhere, everywhere. Like whatever comfortable water, it can't be too big because then it's too heavy. You're not gonna carry it. Like find something that is the norm where you don't leave out the house or you have the cup next to you wherever you are. The water is key. The dehydration affects so many things in your body. That will be probably and then to read. Don't take their word, what they say at face value. Research because they just want to move to the next person. It's a factory style. You go to any OBGYN, they barely taking people. They don't have room. They are overbooked.
Yeah.
So use your time wisely by asking the right questions. That's going to help you.
That's a big one too. Especially asking questions and when we don't know a lot of things, right? Because it's just really learning how excuse me, like you said, just learning more about your body. But not only that, right? Like you start to ask questions, people can see you're concerned, right? That you have a concern, that you care, that it is something that you don't play with. So you're not letting nobody else play with it. You know what I mean? So that's a really big important thing. And I wish we did ask more questions and not just say, okay, well, they know, or you know what I mean, or
Right.
they're gonna tell me everything, because it's true. Like a lot of times, a lot information is not volunteered, right? And so we have to ask the right questions in order to get the responses and get the treatment and care that we want and need and deserve.
Correct.
So, is there anything you want to share? Any other things that I didn't ask? Because I know I asked quite a few questions, but anything you wanted to go over or just kind of share about your experience that we didn't talk about already?
I think preparing your what I didn't prepare for was the pelvic activity,
Mm.
exercise your pelvic floor. And I think in my time frame when I had my daughter, they talked more about Kegling,
Oh, yeah.
right? And so Kegling is only okay. That's the nerd in me. All right, so that only affected one part. It didn't really help you exercise your whole floor when you think
Mm.
about the anatomy of the pelvic area. And I
Mm-hmm.
think if we had more teaching on how to strengthen the pelvic core and the bottom, then it'll help us with delivery.
Mm.
It'll help
Okay.
us significantly because I struggled with pushing. So I couldn't, for whatever reason, my brain, my legs are kicking forward when I'm supposed to be bringing my legs toward me. So, I mean, they had a nurse on one, my mom, my aunt, I couldn't bear down and push.
Mm-hmm.
They literally had to get a sheet and like tie it, put my husband at the time in front of the bed and pull me and say, and they told
Mm.
me to pull him and for him to pull me. So I
Oh,
could
wow.
concentrate on bearing down to get the child out. I
Mm.
could not get my, so they had, if they didn't do that activity, I probably would still have that child in my legs. I couldn't, I thought what I was doing wasn't working because I wasn't utilizing that muscle in the
Yeah.
pelvic area. I was just moving my legs. I wasn't bearing down.
So were there any classes available like
No,
that were
not
teaching
I took
like,
the classes, the breathing and all that, but to
yeah,
know
but
how
not
to, no, they don't
gotcha.
do that. Now let me tell you this: that breathing stuff works because my mother thought I was gonna act a plump fool. Trust me, she thought when that pain hit me, she was like, "Please don't embarrass me. Please don't embarrass me." The breathing helped me be focused on something for those like 4 hours where I had to hold
Mhm.
I couldn't push. That helped me tremendously to kind of keep me
Yeah.
calm, but nothing really helped me to help to push the child out. That's the thing.
Mm.
I thought I was pushing.
Yeah.
So I would say that we don't really know how important that region is to be strengthened and to be
Mhm.
prepared for it.
Yes, I didn't even know that because, well, I had a C-section, so but I don't ever remember taking any classes that talked about like
Hmm.
how to push. How I do remember the breathing class, I do remember that, but I
Right.
don't remember any class really teaching you
You to get
how
it
to
out.
give birth. You know what I mean?
And I think we struggle with Western medicine, how we have children from the beginning. We're
Yeah,
by we lay on our backs. So it's harder
yeah,
for the child. Gravity is supposed to help pull them. We should be in a squat position.
yeah,
Here, well, I don't know, we change stuff. So it's not as
yeah. It's not as seamless of a flow because you
exactly.
kind of
That's
resist your body
exactly
already kind of resistant.
exactly. You're going the
Yeah.
wrong way. Yes. So
And that's a lot of education too, because like you said, like we've been doing things in this fashion for so long that anytime, like I do see a lot of videos and things of like you'll see like doulas or midwives, like you can see videos and watch videos of them completely doing it the way that
right.
was done before,
Traditionally, yeah.
and giving a woman options, so it's not just you laying flat on your back,
Yeah.
but then it's kind of like as society as a whole, it's almost like we just so resistant to change or doing things differently, or just resistant to doing things that is not medically the way things have been
Mhm.
done. So
Right.
when you see something new, it's just kind of like, I don't know, I don't know about that. But it's true. Like when you have like again, when you're in a certain position that flows with gravity, or that kind of
Mhm.
just flows naturally, you don't have to do a lot of work, right? Or as much work. I ain't gonna say a lot
Right.
of work, but
Right.
as
It's
much
a
work.
whole different. And I just think that our modern medicine hinders processes for women and not necessarily help us. They may think it's safer for us by how they do things, but it's not necessarily best for us.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I want to give you an opportunity to just tell people where they can find you, Just again, shout out your business because that's the main thing. I definitely want people to know where they can find you, y'all. She is amazing at what she does. I'm not even lying. Like I've been with her, so I know. So shout out your business, where they can find you, and I'm gonna also put it in the caption too.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. For those who would like to, my website is www.casonstrategies.com, CASONStrategies.com. I'm also on Instagram, Cason, I believe it's Cason underscore strategies for Instagram, and for Facebook, it is Cason Strategies LLC for Facebook. So I would love to hear from you. You can message me through any of them. You can also leave something on my website where you can leave a note as well. I would love to hear from you to see how we can help build out your vision for your business, because we have no idea what we don't know.
Hmm.
I am here as a navigator, as a guide to help prepare you for what's to come. So thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
having us, for having.
Yes, no problem. I'm so glad you came on. I will definitely post all your information, but thank you for sharing your story and being open about it too. Like that, that's the big thing because, like, pregnancy and childbirth can be such a intimate,
Mhm.
fragile, sensitive time, you know what I mean? And so just to have you just come and share your experience, regardless of, what happened, like that's a big deal to me. And so I hope everybody watching was able to get something. And we'll probably have some questions in the comment section later. So thank you again, Naya. I
No
appreciate you.
problem. Thank you. Thank you. Talk to you
All
soon.
right, we'll talk later, y'all.
Uh-oh. I don't know what I'm doing.